Hello and welcome to the Quincy Access Television Studios. I'm Mark Crosby. Thank you so much for joining me and my guest. My guest is Bill O'Donnell. He is the Register of Deeds for Norfolk County. Bill, always a pleasure to welcome you back to the studio.
Yes, Mark, thank you. Thanks to Quincy Access Television. Thank you to the viewers for watching, and hope everyone is having a happy summer. And we have some statistics. I guess the second quarter, we're really looking at statistics for the half year, from January 1st to June 30th. And
it was a bit of a roller coaster.
It was. Well, the winter months, there was a lot of storms. The first quarter, which is January, February, March, the numbers weren't were showing real sluggishness. But second quarter kind of improved things, and you can see it in the statistics for the 6 months. The past few years, as I said, each year it seems like all the metrics were growing, and I think with the second quarter we're at least chugging along. For instance, the total documents recorded, that's one of the metrics we look at. In 2025, again, January through June 30th, it was 51,484, and it climbed in 2026 to 53,857. So a growth of 5%, which is great. And what we look for is the deeds. The deeds are recorded documents. There's some type of transfer taking place. And the total deeds, again, not a significant increase, but compared to what was happening the first quarter, for the 6 months, the total deeds in 2025 was 7,855, and it went up to 7,963, so a growth of 1%. So that's why I kind of use the word chugging along. But the metrics in the first 3 months were lower than what was happening in 2025. So there's been a bit of a rebound. And the other metric we look at is mortgages, and people borrow for many different reasons. Some refinance on their house. Other people are filing mortgages because when they buy a house, they need to borrow money. And the mortgage number went up. In 2025, for the first half, it was 7,971. But in the first half of 2026, January 1st to June 30th, it was 9,143 mortgages, or a 15% increase. So again, that's showing growth. I know maybe people, and I always feel bad because we just track our prices with commercial and residential, and sometimes they get skewed. But I did notice that the average sale price declined in 2026 3%. And again, that kind of gets skewed because of the commercial. But it is, the interest rates, they're high relative to what they were in the past. They haven't been coming down. And so people are making a decision to refinance. Maybe they recognize, hey, we have to get in the market, because if we don't get in the market, the prices are outstripping. We keep waiting and the prices keep going up. And other people have demands for money, whether it's kids going off to college, or they're trying to renovate the house. Maybe they don't want to sell the house and they want to renovate. But I try to make these statistics relevant. There was an economist, Dr. Elliot Eisenberg. He's a national economist, and it just kind of hits home with how tough it is to buy a house, whether you're a new person getting into the market, or a new buyer. I want to just read what he reported. And he's a national economist. With the median sales price of an existing single-family house at $409,000 in quarter four of 2025. And again, remember, he's a national economist. I think the average sale price is a lot higher around here than $409,000. Assuming a 3.5% down payment and a 6.23% interest rate, the monthly mortgage payment would be $2,420 a month versus $1,240 at the end of 2020. Add taxes, insurance, maintenance, etc., and the total housing cost rises to $3,120 per month. To afford that, a buyer needs an income of $120,800, up from just $68,700 5 years earlier, and then he repeats a word, ouch. So that's kind of a reality. That's an ouch. Another ouch is foreclosures.
Sure. Well, I think credit card debt is up too, because I think what people are having to do is they're having to pay their mortgage. So the items that they can easily put on a credit card, they do during these times.
And there's dangers to credit cards because the interest rates are, I know they're legal, but they're exorbitantly high, and you can get yourself in trouble because if it's not paid off, it's always, just the minimum payment, but now you're chasing it. And that's what sometimes leads to foreclosures, unfortunately. And we always say if anyone is struggling with foreclosures in Norfolk County, or the laws in Norfolk County are the same all across Massachusetts, it's a legal proceeding against you. If you're not keeping up with your mortgage, the lender has a right to foreclose. Well, get help. If you go to our website, www.norfolkdeeds.org, we have information out there. We have partnered up with NeighborWorks Housing Solutions, Quincy Community Action Programs, two nonprofit groups that give counseling to people in the 28 communities that make up Norfolk County. But we also have links to the Attorney General's office. They have resources also available as far as people struggling with foreclosures. And that was one good number, actually two good numbers, foreclosure deeds, which is the end of the process. There was only 23 in 2026 in 28 communities in Norfolk County. And the notices to foreclose, which is the beginning of the process, that's where the lenders, by law, they have to they file a lawsuit, but they have to record a notice of foreclosure. That was down 6%. So that's kind of good news on that front.
Well, I believe the economy, by all reports, is doing okay.
Yes, and that's where there were experts that thought the interest rates were going down, but the economy seems to have precluded that things seem to be better, and it's anyone's guess what happens at the Federal Reserve. And I know we've talked in the past that actions that happen at the Federal Reserve do have a ripple effect throughout the whole economy and throughout the whole United States, but also in the real estate market around here. But yes, the numbers of late seem to show an economy that's flourishing, which may mitigate a decision to lower interest rates. But it's anybody's guess. I don't pretend to know what the Federal Reserve is going to do.
I think we do see fluctuation in the market, and often it's so, I suppose, a mirror to what's happening with oil. But the numbers still, and of course the war is where I'm leading. But sometimes I'm surprised by the reaction that Wall Street has to the conflict.
Yeah, and again, things that happen globally do affect things locally. And we've seen the conflicts have had different effects, and things look good at one point, and then they go the other way. So time will tell. I kind of sometimes we use that word, time will tell. But anecdotally, at least in Norfolk County, we're at the registry. We're at 649 High Street. We still have people that come in and do it the old-fashioned way and record documents and do closings there. We have the facilities for it, and we see brokers, and we do it the modern way, through electronic recording. But anecdotally, talking to the brokers, maybe there's more inventory coming on. Again, I think Norfolk County has some desirable communities that. Where the demand for housing is still high, and that maybe
there's building going on in all of your, I would assume, all of your towns.
Sure, there's building
Quincy,
going on,
sure.
and there's been changes to the zoning to encourage housing, but there's still demand, and and anecdotally, the brokers are saying, well, it may not be the days of 10 offers coming in, but there's still a healthy demand. There's still people that are looking to try to get in the market, and the prices are still relatively high for people.
Well, I don't know where Massachusetts placed. It was definitely in the top 10, probably in the top 5 of the most expensive places to live in the country.
Yeah, I'm sure, and part of that, I mean, I grew up, born in Boston, grew up in Norwood, Norfolk County. I mean, we're so lucky. So there is prices, and I guess that's the price you pay for. I always say on a tank full of gas, you could be at a beach down the Cape, or you could be hiking the White Mountains, or taking a ride to a boat out at Bar Harbor, going to Vermont. So I think we're very fortunate to live in Massachusetts, and I know they say a lot of people are leaving Massachusetts because of the cost, but it's still a great place to live, and I know Norfolk County is a great place to live, and you see it with the real estate prices, because the demands are still high in these communities, thus the prices are high.
And we're certainly a big college city, so a lot of folks come from out of town, go to college here, and end up settling here.
Oh yes, I mean that's been going on for a long time, and I think again it's the greater Boston. I mean the activity in and around Boston. Look what just happened with the World Cup. As someone that likes sports, it was really fascinating. I mean, I like more goals. I think that's why everyone liked the third place game, but there was some drama, and I did watch a lot of games, and some great talent, Messi, and the passing of the torch to, the youngster from Spain, and I enjoyed it, and it was good for the economy.
And it did bring interest locally because of Gillette Stadium, which wasn't known as Gillette Stadium during the games, but certainly anyone around that stadium benefited.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that they're doing studies now that are showing that will show the ripple economic effects. But it was just quite an event, and
Traffic
the passion
probably wasn't so great.
Well, yeah, as someone who is not too far from Foxborough, but the passion of the fans, and how loyal they are to their team, and the singings of the national anthems, or England when they won, singing the song afterwards. I enjoyed the spectacle of it all, and I'm sure a lot of people did.
A bit of a roller coaster during the second quarter. I was referring to, I think May was strong. April was strong. May took a dip, and then June came back up.
Right, and for the second quarter, I mean, again, to break down some of these documents in the second quarter, which is again, April, May, and June of 2025 versus 2026. Total documents were up 28,732 to 30,055, or up 5%, and the total deeds were up 5%. And the mortgages, again, 4,692 in 2025 second quarter, but in the second quarter of 2026, it went up 7%. And I looked at it more, you could look at it, it did go down in May, but the numbers in April, May, even though it went down a little in June, made up for January, February, and March were slow months. Some of those numbers consistently were behind 2025. So there's been a shift. And it kind of makes sense, because I think more people, and the brokers used to say, anecdotally anyway, that, the spring season is where it starts, March, April, May, June. Closings can take place anytime. When there's tax changes, sometimes the closings are taking place in December. But looking at what happened in the second quarter, again, it was good news. The second quarter really drove the numbers that I gave for the 6-month period from January 1st to June 30th. Will it continue? We'll see. Interest rates don't seem to be going down, so
they're ticking up.
Yeah, maybe chugging along is the word, but we will see. Because some of what we talked about, the refinancing or buying of the houses, are tied to the mortgage rate.
The Norfolk County Registry in court.
Well, we've been in court. It's not something I wish we didn't have to be in court. And one case we won in Norfolk Superior Court. It got appealed up to the Supreme Judicial Court, and the Supreme Judicial Court said that, the county commissioners and the county director, John Cronin, unlawfully interfered in the registry operations. So that case is over. There's another case that's still up on the appeals court. We haven't got the argument date, and two judges in the Superior Court, ruled that the monies that are being taken are being, they can't be used and taken like they are. They're being misappropriated. And also, that court ruled that when I, as register, had put an appointment out there for the registry chief information officer, that the county commissioners exceeded their statutory authority in denying that. That case is still going. It's in appeal. We've won in front of two judges in Superior Court. But there was a third case, and I'm just relieved. I've been elected to run the registry. I'm not elected to sue the county commissioners or the county director, but I will, in the sense that I took an oath, and the oath was, we have to follow laws. That's what this state's about. That's what this country's about. And a case is recently concluded in a favorable result for the registry. Maybe people don't know, but there were two longtime employees, 36 years worth of experience one of them had in a very specialized part of the registry, the land court, and another employee, 34 years of experience at the registry. And a couple of people had retired. So I promoted them. I prepared, the appointment paper over. Went over to the county commissioners, and they listened to the recommendations of County Director Cronin and the human resource people, and they didn't sign the papers. And I didn't want to file. I mean, I had better things to do, because when I say file suit, we used to have an attorney on the first lawsuit, but I had to try that case because they zeroed out the legal monies. So they have an attorney getting paid six figures, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a waste of taxpayers' money. I've been trying these cases on my own. I was a former assistant district attorney. I prior to becoming a register, I had a law practice. I consider myself fortunate that I have the skill set, because it's not like we're losing. And this last case that just got concluded, so this will be 2 down, 1 to go. There was a court order that those two people got their promotion. So I was happy for them. But I was also happy there was other principles involved that were more for the registry. One, the judge ruled that the register is the appointing authority for registered personnel. I think most people out there in the TV land or watching this show would probably say, yeah, the register should be the appointing authority over his staff or her staff. And I also, another principle that came out is that the parties, the county, has to apply a uniform and consistent process, a handbook process. If you're going to apply a handbook, you got to be consistent and uniform. And one of the reasons that lawsuit got filed is, I think there's bias and retaliation, and I get it, when you lose cases, but you gotta rise above it. I've been trying to reach out to be collaborative, that there are better, the taxpayers deserve better things. I'm not costing the taxpayer money, and they're paying a big Boston law firm to defend what I say is unlawful action. So I wish things were better, but again, this last matter got concluded, and I'm more grateful that and that the two employees, imagine 6 years and 34 years worth of experience, and I did this appointment back in October. I filed suit back in October, so I'm thankful that it's hopefully we move forward now in a more positive direction. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Let's talk about an event. You jumped on the 250th celebration in a big way.
Well, I enjoy, again, I love being registered deeds. It's a privilege. And for me, it combines sort of law and politics. And, we just talked about upholding laws. And, we've done a number of books because of, we did this History Comes Alive project, where we transcribed over 450,000 documents from 1793 to 1900. And because it's easy to read text, and historians like David McCulloch wrote letters about how great it was to, to read the text. The legal documents are still handwritten. All the history, and so it was sort of a labor of love. We had the 250th anniversary, of course, but on June 20th, 1793. The Registry of Deeds was formed and started, and that was 233 years ago. So on June 17th, we had an open house. Hopefully you're seeing, we have a great reenactor. We're lucky, and he has Quincy roots, President John Adams, 4 presidents born in Norfolk County, but we always have John Adams at our events. And he is a reenactor, but he works at the registry in our land court section, Mike LePage. And Mike's retiring, which we will miss him. He's going on to more exciting work with his reenactments. But he read the Declaration of Independence. But we also did this book, we remember America's 250th anniversary, 1776 to 2026. And if you couldn't come by the open house to get the book, just email me at registerodonnell@norfolkdeeds.org, and we'll send out a book. But it was really about celebrating the different stories of Norfolk County and Massachusetts. For instance, there were 5 signers of the Massachusetts Declaration of Independence. Well, everyone knows about John Hancock, but John Hancock signed the bill that created Norfolk County in 1793. You have John Adams, who, of course, people know about. Eldridge Gerry, the whole gerrymander person. Robert Treat Payne, and Samuel Adams. So we have different pages, and of course a page about the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. We did a thing on the American Revolution flags, which was pretty interesting. If you go through different parts of it, for instance, I tie it into the Registry of Deeds. Fisher Ames was a United States representative, and he actually beat Sam Adams to be elected in the first Congress. So but his house was at where the registry was located.
Turn the book just slightly. So folks.
Yeah. So his name was Fisher Ames. It might be a person you haven't heard of, but he was. This was his house where the Registry of Deeds now is located. And what was also interesting about that property is there was a tavern on the property, and in 1774. September 6, 1774, the Milton Resolves, which was sort of a precursor to the Declaration of Independence, was written at a bar that was attached to this house. And if people remember, it got voted on in Milton. You can go buy the house in Milton. But Paul Revere, we have a page about Paul Revere in this book. He owned property in Canton. Paul Revere took the Milton Resolves and drove them all the way down to Philadelphia on horseback, and they got voted on by the First Continental Congress. So a lot of great history. The Sons of Italy. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. Sons of Liberty were a secret colonial organization against the British tyranny. They had their own flag, the red and white stripes, which later got incorporated into the United States flag. But they erected, the only monument is erected on a church green diagonal from the Registry of Deeds. It was the only monument that the Sons of the Sons of Liberty did. So a lot of great stories.
You had mentioned about History Comes Alive, and we used that. I used that as a springboard to do a series of video shorts, which some of them turned into full-length documentaries. And that brings me to our latest.
My name is John Dennehy. I'm a historian, or the historian here at the Braintree Historical Society in Braintree, Massachusetts. I'm seated right now in the birthplace of Sylvanus Thayer, located directly across the street from the Braintree Town Hall. We love this building. It's a gem. It's where Sylvanus Thayer was born in 1785. Sylvanus Thayer, there was a question asked many years ago, who is the most important American you've probably never heard of? And the name that kept coming up more than others was Sylvanus Thayer. So most Americans don't know who he was and what he was known for. But his story did start here, and he was incredibly important in the development of the United States.
Maybe you can take it from here.
Well, certainly you have made, I mean, these books that we've done, Mark Crosby, Jonathan, the whole team here at Quincy Access Television has made the stories in these books come alive. And we did a short piece on General Thayer, and but the longer piece that you did, and I know because I remembered we were doing interviews and filming, and it was on my first grandson. I was out there at the Thayer house, and I got a call that I had a grandson, August 7th, 2024. It has been a labor of love that you've put together this longer piece. The shorter piece had come out on General Thayer, who is known as the father of West Point. But when you get the detail that you did, it's a longer piece, over 51 minutes. But Mark Crosby, the detail he puts in with the music, with the images, and just the stories. You had John Dennehy, who was a local selectman in Braintree, but loves history, and he said General Thayer was an American, one of the most famous Americans most people don't know about. And he made history comes alive, and you did with the videos. And Ron Fraser and his wife talking about the house, and Mrs. Fraser, there's over 5,000 artifacts. You made history come alive, and I think it's a great service. I know the undertakings you take when you look back at what you've done. It's something that everyone can watch and learn from, and I know it's being picked up by other cable stations. So congratulations to you, because you put it all together, and you've done a great job, Mark. I know I keep repeating myself when I come here that you're the Steven Spielberg of Norfolk County, but well done, and again, kudos to Quincy Access Television for taking on these projects, because history means a lot.
And we did share some photographs behind the scenes during our visit and during your kind of recapture of exactly what went on during the recording of that documentary.
It was fun. It was fun. There were a lot of fun aspects about being a register of deeds, and that's one of them.
Thank you so much for joining me, Bill. We'll have you back, I suppose, the next quarter to review stats, and then we'll probably have a few extras to include as well.
Great. Thank you.
And thank you at home for watching, and please remember to support the local access station in the community in which you reside. Take care.